Hello everyone and welcome back. So, I've had some time to think about the character pack format, because now we know more or less what it's going to be. With the average price of £4, we can expect a legendary lord, a generic hero, around 3 unique units, and then the usual stuff, which is like the campaign features. All alongside a generic hero, so there is a legendary hero which is anti-large for Grand Cafe. All in all, this does look good. I do wonder how unique the units are from each other, where I do imagine it's going to be mostly just like, for this pack at least, 3 different types of Tigermen. So a dual wielder, one with a bow and dual wielding, and then finally one with a halberd or a spear, which all kind of fits quite well. It's not really unique units, it's 1 unique unit and 2 variants, if that's the case. But it will provide to a Tigerman roster, which I think people are kind of hyped about, and myself included. Honestly, I think it would be cool to see a bunch of Tigers come into the play and being able to be fielded by Grand Cafe armies all around, because we do know that all the Cafean characters will be able to recruit them. Now, I am thinking about this format quite a bit, because it's a smaller DLC, but it does mean that things can be a bit more consistent. And there's a few races in-game that could actually benefit from this styling, and I'm hoping that Creative Assembly are looking towards this. While I don't think that this should be the new main format, I do think that we need to start looking towards certain races and factions which are practically done, but still have a few holes. It's very easy to just look at the list of races and go, yep, there's not really much missing for, say, for example, the Beastmen, the Dark Elves. None of them would really be able to get their own full-style DLC, like one of the parts in one of the 1v1v1s, but they could get something smaller, and that would help out quite dramatically to kind of finish them off fully or introduce characters that are currently missing. Not everyone's favorite is in-game right now, and I think that's really important to strive to get everyone possible, just for the sake of completionism, and well, I mean, it's just everyone wants everything, right? It's Warhammer. Alright, so let's just go into the Beastmen for a quick example, right? Let's go with what I would think is my ideal Beastmen pack. Now, the Beastmen, yes, have gotten a lot of content, and every major Chaos DLC is giving them a little bit more, which is frankly fantastic. It's nice to see them get so much attention. There's a few things kind of missing there. So my perfect £4 pack would be, say for example, Gorus Warhoof as a legendary lord, a Centaur lord and a Centaur hero, each of them being kind of different, with the lord being more aggressive and the hero being more support skirmishy style. The idea here is to have something that's going to buff up your Centaurs quite dramatically, then go into units. This is where things get a little bit strange, right? Because there's not really a lot missing. Maybe some extra Centaur units just to kind of fill it out and go, hey, here's a full Centaur roster. And then just going in a legendary hero in the form of Moonclaw or maybe Slugtongue. Stuff like that would work well. The legendary hero would come out for free, so the Beastmen would finally have something there. And this is just so the Centaurs can get represented properly. I think missing on Gorus so far is just strange, because he is the Sire of 1,000 Young. He is incredibly popular, hell, so much so that he's back in the old world too. I don't think this would be too exciting for a lot of people unless, yeah, Gorus came in, because a Centaur army should be based around that, and having Centaur lords would be kind of cool too. But maybe they can justify removing one of the variants of Centaurs in respect of bringing in another big monster from the Monstrous Arcanum. So the Monstrous Arcanum monster could be something like the Basilisk, something that surprisingly didn't show up, during the Tides of Torment stuff. I think a lot of people kind of expected that. And yeah, have that available to other races, like the Chaos Warriors, maybe some of the Mono Gods. Again, giving the incentive there. It's time for the Beastmen to pay back to other people. But this is where things could get a little bit more interesting if we look towards the Dwarfs. And here's where I'm proposing that maybe character packs could constantly evolve and change depending on the race. So Legendary Lord Joseph Bugman, I do still think that he should be for free, but it doesn't look like we're going to get another White Dwarf Lord. A generic Lord could be an Engineer Lord. This is where we'd end up seeing the Master Engineer hero renamed to Engineer, and then Master Engineer as a Lord option, because it's kind of weird that the Dwarfs don't have an Engineer Lord option. I'd say no generic hero gets to be introduced, because I think the Dwarfs are fully covered. Hear me out here. Instead, maybe bringing in the Shield Bearers as a mount option. Again, not amazing, but the idea is to just protect your lords as much as possible, and that means that the work could then be put into the units, where I could see the carts being introduced, so Joseph Bugman's cart, and also the Grudge Pony as support stuff, so this buffs up your troops. Very similar to that of, like, say, for example, the Cafe and war drums and stuff, but much smaller scale, because obviously they're dwarf tech instead. And then finally bring in a Rune Golem for the idea of, you know, something big. The cart fits in with Joseph Bugman, the Rune Golem is something a lot of people have been looking for, and the Shield Bearers are just like something kind of nice there. Or just flat out ignore the Shield Bearers and get 2 variants of the Golem, depending on how much work goes into that. The reason why I'm saying no generic hero here is, one, the Dwarfs don't really have an option for that, everything else has been covered so far, and then that means that the work that would normally go onto the hero would go into the units themselves. So it's a little bit less variant-y, and more a little bit of everything else. Then for a legendary hero, I mean, Grim Burluxon would be kind of cool. I think a lot of people kind of want him. The idea is, again, getting the little bits kind of missing there, right? Like an Oathstone mount is pointless because it doesn't move. But everything else, yeah, this all fits in with what the Dwarfs are currently missing. There's a lot of characters for the Dwarfs, which would be kind of cool, but I feel like this way, a lot gets done. As you can kind of guess, the character pack roster so far can be a little limiting depending on what race is going to get the character pack, because some of them are just plain done. Cafe can take well advantage of that because Cafe is new. New units can literally be pulled out of their ass, whereas unfortunately, as far as we're aware so far, anything introduced into the old world can be a little bit difficult. Thankfully, the cards have always kind of existed, so it's not really a new unit. But this is what I mean in regards to, say, for example, the Knights on Foot for Bretonnia. Which is odd considering that Cafe is an old world faction too, and so is Kislev. Eventually we will see Kislev on the tabletop. So it's kind of like a double standard. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe Creative Assembly's negotiation skills aren't that great with Games Workshop, because I think a lot of people would like the Knights on Foot. And there's a few units that have been new for the old world, which would be amazing for Total War Warhammer. In some cases, I think the format's going to have to evolve. Depending on the race and faction, they could change. So I've got some possible formats there. Like, current one is number 1. Number 2 could just focus on getting some extra units out there. Pretty much what I spoke about with Joseph Bugman. Format 3 could be focusing around a race which really can't take advantage of a Lord, but can take advantage of a legendary hero. Some factions are missing loads of legendary heroes, Dark Elves for that matter. Some generic lords and generic heroes if possible, maybe bringing in some extra units. Then, well, format number 4 is like, okay, look, there's no units missing, but we can bring in a bunch of characters, a lord. And even then, I don't think it should always be like a legendary lord. There are just some races that can't take advantage of that, and the map is getting super congested. Creative Assembly, please, for the love of God, open up Indian Koresh, like, really badly. But yeah, you could get like a bunch of characters there. Like the Empire, there could be format 5 where it's just legendary lord, legendary hero, and just a ton of unit variants instead. It depends there. Obviously it depends on if this is viable, because remember, when it comes to like legendary characters, there's a lot of work that needs to go into them. So maybe not for format 4, maybe removing 1 legendary hero, so it's like 2 legendary heroes instead of 3. So the idea here is it can be extremely flexible if Creative Assembly are planning this well enough ahead. Again, I do want to say that I don't think that this should be the main form of DLC going forward. I don't think that single character packs are going to be enough to keep everyone going. But introducing these character packs during the periods where things are getting a little bit slow because they're working on like some big stuff, or, you know, there has been delays, you never know, it can help quite dramatically, I think. Just want to talk about this because I've been thinking about the character packs for a while. I was quite happy when they first like talked about character packs, and now that we finally know what's coming, there is a lot of potential. There is a lot of potential. So I'd like to see this expanded upon. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I know that this one's going to be a bit of a weird one, but yeah, I do think that this could help. Well, at least I hope it does. We'll have to see when it does come at the end of spring, I think they said. So that could be all the way up to May, I think. Because like the English have this weird thing about like seasons. So yeah, have a good one, guys. I'll see you all again very, very soon.